Hello everyone, I'm Chris, I'm the Not So Special One, or TNSSO for short. Thanks for checking in for episode 1 of I'm So Cadizzy. I put a little intro video up yesterday to this series. You can check that out. In the comments below there's the link to that little video. It's just a little 5 minutes to tell you what we're doing here. But yeah, predominantly it's going to be a one club save, looking at Cadiz. We're going to look to build them into one of Spain's top teams, competing with the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid. Before we get started, before we run that intro and get cracking, I just want to say thanks to all my subscribers so far, and we're approaching 1,000 views on the channel, which is fantastic. I've been going about a week and a half, so still a really new channel. So to be approaching 1,000 views and sort of nearly 60 hours of viewing time, I really appreciate your support, guys, and thank you very much. Let's roll that intro and get cracking with Cadiz. So this is me, Chris Ball, otherwise known as the Not So Special One, or TNSSO for short. As you can see from my profile, I'm wearing quite a jazzy blue suit there with the yellow shirt. So I'm in the club's colours, as you should be. I'm representing from day one. With regards to the setup, suggested badge based for Cadiz is a Continental Pro license, so we'll be going with that. And I tend to focus most of my expertise in the coaching side of the game on attacking and tactical. I like to be decent with the youngsters as well, be able to coach through young players. So always make sure that's relatively high. Goalkeeping, do not ask me how to save the ball. Do not even ask me how to pick it up and kick it, because I could not tell you. My goalkeeping stats are appalling. Luckily, I'll be bringing in goalkeeping coaches, or certainly hoping we start with one or two decent ones who can cover where I lack. On the suggested experience for Cadiz, on the past playing experience, it's international at continental level. And again, on this side, what I like to do is just generally a decent overview. So we're not exceptional up in the 18s, 19s, 20s for anything, but we are pretty decent across the board. So that's us as a manager. We're going to get into the game. It's official. The Not So Special One has arrived at Cadiz Club de Football on 16 grand a week, which has raised a few eyebrows in the world of football, which is not a surprise. We are inexperienced in terms of management. This is our first job, but we've arrived at the Nuevo Mirandilla, the stadium, for our first day at the job. We've replaced Sergio Gonzalez, the previous manager, and I do love the fact that we are the Not So Special One, but when the media abbreviate our name, it actually refers to us as Special One. So I'm not minding that at all. With regards to the club, media prediction this year, 16th. So certainly expected to struggle. Not expected to be amongst the best teams in the league. But as I said in my intro video yesterday, which you can catch a link to down in the comments, if you want to see a quick 5-minute intro. The long term here, this is a one club save. We're looking to be here for years and years and years, and the idea is that we're going to overthrow the top teams in Spain. I want to make us as big as Barcelona, Real Madrid, grow that stadium, grow that fan base, and hopefully win some trophies and become a dominant force in Spanish football. That is the plan. With regards to transfer budget, it's pretty small, just under 2 million, so we haven't got a lot of money to play with, and we've got a wage budget of just over 300 grand a week. We'll go into that and see how much of that we're spending. Great training facilities, great youth facilities, and above average youth recruitment. So we're starting with a decent base on the facility side of things, but there is definitely room for improvement. The stadium itself, the Nuevo Mirandilla, is just under 21,000 capacity, built in 1955. The stadium is rather impressive. I do like our stadium. For not the biggest, it's quite nice. We'll come to that in a minute and I'll show it to you. But for now, with regards to the board's vision, sign players under the age of 23. They want us to build a young squad, which is fine. That fits in line with what I'm looking to do. I want to build a young, vibrant, talented, exciting football team here in Cadiz, and that's the plan. And the board are on board with that straight away. Work within wage budget. Naturally, I think everyone has that objective. It is required, so they do see it as important. And they're limiting contract lengths for our older players. So there really is a big focus on this, building a young team. Maximum 1-year contracts for players over 32, 2 years for players over 30, and 3 years for players over 28. Minimum 3-year contracts for first team players. So if you're under 28, you get a minimum of 3-year contract. If you're over 28, it starts to limit what we'll offer you. Be competitive in the Copa del Rey this season, so no real expectation there, and finishing mid-table in La Liga. So the board want a mid-table finish. Might be a little bit ambitious based on the fact that the media are predicting us for 16th. So the media are saying relegation candidates. The board are saying, nope, we think you can do better than that. And we expect you to do better than that. It is a required. So it's not a desired, it's not a favoured, it's required to finish mid-table. Definitely going to have our work cut out in season number 1. Moving on to the supporters, their expectations: make progress on and off the pitch. As long as they see the club moving in the right direction, they will be happy, and just remain in the league this year. So it's definitely going to be easier to keep the supporters happy than it is the board. We'll schedule a press conference to meet the media. I'm not too bothered about arranging an intra-squad friendly, and we'll arrange a meeting with my backroom staff once a week. We'll get that game saved, and we'll take a look at the stadium. And here it is. This is our new home. So she looks quite nice. It's a nice little stadium. Nice and open. Don't get me wrong, if you're in one of these free stands, you're getting wet if it's raining. However, I have done my research before I took the job, just to see what the weather was going to be like before we move out to Spain. And they get, on average, in a whole year, they get under 21 inches of rain. If you compare that to the UK gets in excess of 45 inches on average per year. So less than half. Out in Cadiz, so the rainfall shouldn't be too much of an issue, and it isn't going to affect our fans in these free stands very much. But yeah, it looks good. These up here in the top of the roof over this stand here, they are the lights. So they are your floodlights for lighting up the pitch. And I don't know if we've got any pictures which show them on. So this is a picture which shows them on, and they can be pointed in all different directions to light everything up. So I'm sure that probably looks really cool when we have a night game. But yeah, that is our home. That is our new stadium. That is the Nuevo Marandia. But yeah, it looks half decent. So that's the stadium. Like I said, it said it was built in 1955, but it looks newer than that. So I did a little bit of Wikipedia, the hub of all knowledge. And yes, it was built in 1955, but it does say down here, it talks about the history of the stadium, and it does say that due to it was down to decisions to lose something like, because it used to be just under 24,000 seater, but they wanted more corporate space, so 5,000 square meters were made available for corporate space, which reduced the capacity, but the stands were all rebuilt effectively between, I think it was 2002, 2003 and 2012. So yeah, that's why the stadium looks a lot newer than sort of 60-70 years old. But that's our home. With regards to Cadiz itself and where it is, this is Spain, and you can see this red marker all the way down here in southwestern Spain. That is Cadiz. So we are based all the way down here near Gibraltar, on our own sort of little island off the main coast of Spain. So I looked at that, I thought that's quite an interesting place. So again, turn into sort of Google and turn into the hub of knowledge to find out a little bit more about my new home. I found out that Cadiz is an ancient port city in the Andalusian region of southwestern Spain, the home of the Spanish Navy. The port boomed in the 16th century as a base for exploration and trade. It's more than 100 watchtowers, which makes it a really popular tourist destination today as well. So as we grow as a football club, we all know that the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, a lot of their attendances for their home game are tourists, will be people that are going there to experience a game at those major stadiums. There's no reason why we can't be one day. Don't get me wrong, from a stadium expansion point of view, when we actually look at where the stadium is, it may be difficult to expand the stadium. It's in a very built up area. We're not a standalone. We might be able to expand on these, but in the longer term, there may be a plan to build a new stadium in years to come, and that will be one of the aims of the Save. I'd love to build a new stadium. I'm just not sure, when we look at Cadiz as a pretty built up area, where we would build it. But I'm sure something can be worked out with enough money. But that's where we're situated, nicely on the coast. So you can come to football, you can be tourist, you can go and have a look at the watchtowers in the morning, take in a game of football in the afternoon, and then spend the late afternoon, evening on the beach. One of these restaurants. Like, I've got it all planned out. So with regards to where I'm going to live, I've been looking. I'm on 16 grand a week, so I'm on good money. I can afford a decent place, and I've found somewhere that I want to buy. Just under 800 grand, which is easily affordable when you're bringing in 60, 70 grand a month. Just under 800k in Cadiz. This place looks lovely. We've put in an offer. This should be my new home. So this is what 800 grand in euros, so not in pounds, but in 800,000 euros. This is what that buys you in Cadiz, and this is where we'll be living. This is where I'm hoping. I've offered up the money straight up, no negotiation. There's no reason why my offer shouldn't get accepted. This is the new home. The missus is going to love it. The kids are going to love it. I'm going to love that pool. We're getting settled into our new home. Now it's time for the real business. Let's meet the squad. Now, looking at our squad page and going through the players that are available to me, one thing I noticed straight away is we've got a pretty big squad. We've got plenty of players available to us. We seem to have cover for most positions. So, on the face of it, initially, I looked at him and, yep, numbers are not bad. Numbers are not bad. However, I did notice an immediate issue. That issue being, when we look down this age column here, I'm not seeing many youngsters. So if I sort the team by age, our youngest player is 21. On loan, Antonio Blanco. And he's also the most valuable player in the team at 11 to 13.5 million. But we don't have any young flair. So I can see now why the board was so keen for me to sign under 23 players, because our team is ancient. If we sort the other way by the oldest players, we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players over the age of 30, of which 4 of them are over 33. And looking at the sort of assistant manager's view on the ability stars, which I don't always read too much into, but as a quick glance and a quick guide, he seems to think that half of these 30 plus players are some of our best as well, so likely to be in our starting lineup, certainly at the start of the season. I mean, even their media description is veteran. It's, yeah, you've got a team of old boys. So basically we've taken over a vets team in Cadiz. That is the score. But initially, like I said, it could be worse. Now, starting out, one of the things I noticed straight away is my assistant manager seems to really rate our keeper. Jeremiah Ledesma looks decent, looks half decent. Not the best, not the most fantastic. I mean, I always like my keepers to have good aerial reach, command of area and communication, and his stats are okay but not great. Positioning is okay but not great. Good reflexes, good kicking, which is pretty pointless because I like to play out from the back, so kicking isn't great for me. Yeah, he's an okay keeper, which is a little bit worrying. And the fact that my assistant manager rating him as 4 stars, officially rates him as our best player in the team. The fact that I've got concerns over that player worries me about the quality of the squad that we've got. Centre back, we are seriously lacking in quality. So we've got one player transfer listed. Our best centre back is Luis Hernandez, 33 years old. Spanish centre back, decent, good player, but coming towards the back end of his career. Probably got another season in him at best. It's a bit of a shame that his best statistic is long throws, because as a centre-back, I'm not sure how many throw-ins I'm going to have him taking. Tackling's okay, marking's okay. Even though he's 33, he managed to retain some of his pace and acceleration, which is okay. Good concentration, good decision-making, good positioning. So, a good centre-back. The problem is, I don't have another decent one to pair with him. Victor Chust is probably the best of the rest. Again, Spanish, quite similar stats in terms of sort of his attributes all round as Luis Hernandez. So that's probably the centre-back pairing. Other players to point out that that we're initially rating, or my assistant manager's rating straight off the back, is we've got 2 decent fullbacks by the looks of things. Both 30 years old, probably get a couple more years out of both of them. Alfonso Espino, the Uruguayan, looks good. Great work rate, great teamwork. He'll get up and down that left wing for sure. Good acceleration and pace, great stamina, brilliant natural fitness. He is going to be a machine down the left. Good tackling, not the greatest going forward. Crossing and dribbling isn't fantastic, but certainly defensively solid. He'll be a big player for us, I'm sure. Espino's going to be in the first team. Josep Azaldua on the right. Again, quite similar. Not the greatest going forward. Okay, but good tackling, good marking, good teamwork, good work rate. Again, a good defensive-minded fullback. So hopefully we won't get exposed too badly down the wings with 2 good defensive fullbacks in those positions. It is quite worrying to see that Ruben Alcaraz is injured, and he's rated as one of our best players by the assistant. He's out for 2 months, so he's probably going to miss all the pre-season and maybe a month of the season. He looks good in the central midfield. Again, work rate again. We look like we've got a team here that is a hard-working team. We've certainly got a team here that is high work rate, so high press is already in my mind when coming to making a tactic. Much more often. A gegenpress style is already looking likely from the work rate that we've got in this team. And especially as we're not one of the better teams in the league, so pressing the opposition all the time is going to be quite key for us anyway. Trying to keep the pressure on that way, trying not to let them have too much of the ball and too much space. That's the sort of football that we'll be looking to play. It's just whether we've got enough to offer a threat of our own. But Alcaraz looks like a good player. It is a shame that he's injured for the first couple of months of the season. Who else is worth having a look at? Theo Bongonda. What a name. Brilliant name. Love the name. Yeah, he's certainly going forward. He looks like he'll be one of our more creative, more sort of flair players. Flair's 15. Again, work rate's not bad for an inverted winger or winger type player. 13's not bad. They're not always the hardest working, but he's okay. Good acceleration and pace. He'll definitely be a threat. Passing's good. Unfortunately, the vision isn't great, so I'm not sure how many through balls he's going to be making. But if we tell him to keep the passes short and simple and just retain the ball to create openings, he should be able to do that. Half decent long shots. We might see a couple of goals from distance come out of him this year. Decent dribbler on the ball. Yeah, he looks good. We like the look of Bongonda. He'll 100% be in the first team, I'm sure. Alex Fernandez, 29 years old, the main creative force of the team. Passing 17, vision 15, playmaker. This is the man that will be looking for those through balls. I said Bongonda didn't really have it in him with the vision. Alex Fernandez absolutely does. 29-year-old Spaniard, valued at 5 to 6 million. He's made 175 appearances for the club, scoring 29 goals. He's been here since 2017. He could be really important for us this year. Acceleration isn't fantastic, but in the sort of role that we might play him in, and maybe an advanced playmaker type position, doesn't need to be the quickest. Just find that space, play those balls, create opportunities. That's your job, Alex Fernandez. Up front, what are we offering? We've got two strikers that my assistant likes. The 36-year-old Alvaro Negredo, that will be well known to a lot of people. He's spent some time in England with Man City, Middlesbrough on loan, but predominantly this man has more recently been in the United Arab Emirates, out in Turkey, and now he's made a return to Spain. He's not been in the greatest goal scoring form, I'm not going to lie. Couple of seasons, 35 games, 8 goals, 34 games, 7 goals in the last 2 seasons. So he's played virtually every game, but he's not got a good goal return for us. Now, he's only rated at 150 to 375k because of his age. I'm not going to get a lot from it, if anyone will buy him at all. Contract-wise, he's on 16 grand a week. So he's taking up a good 5% of the club's total wage bill. Alvaro Negredo could go. He could go. It depends on options that I have to bring anyone else in. But Negredo is definitely not looking like the man I'll be wanting to play up front as my main man. Anthony Lozano, Honduras, 29 years old, rated up to 3.4 million on value. He looks a little bit more like it. Again, he's not the best striker in the world. He's one of the better players in my squad. But again, he's only got 20 goals in 93 appearances. He's pretty much averaging a goal 1 every 5 games. He's been here for 4 years, and again, if this is the sort of guy that we're relying on to bag the goals, a guy that scored only 7 in 31 last season, only 3 in 29 the season before, we could struggle for goals. That much is clear already. We could struggle for goals this year. The only other player I want to give a little mention to is Lucas Perez. So anyone that follows the news, you would have seen just now in real life in January, Lucas Perez has moved back to Deportivo. So Deportivo, a club where he played before joining Arsenal for 17 million back in 2014 to 2016. He loves that club so much that he desperately wanted to go back there now, that he's just paid £500,000 out of his own money, half his transfer fee, to go back to Deportivo. So he has just left Cadiz in real life. And in line with that, and to keep the save as realistic as possible, we'll be keeping him until January. But in January, I'll be putting him on the transfer list. No matter how good he's playing, no matter how good he is, no matter how many goals he's got, no matter how important he is to my team, I want to follow real life as best as possible up to January, and Lucas Perez will be leaving the club if we can offload him. Now, we'll put him up for sale. If no one comes in from, there's nothing I can do about that, but we will be looking to move Lucas Perez on in January. So I can tell you right now, Lucas Perez will only be at this club for potentially 6 months. Let's hope for that first half of the season he can at least contribute and bring something to the team before he leaves us. So that's sort of an overview of our squad and where we've identified some of our better players, some of our weaknesses. Check back in tomorrow for episode 2. Episode 2 will see me set up our tactic and show you how that goes in pre-season. So we'll play pre-season. I mean, with regards to the schedule, as I join the club, there's a few friendlies already in. We're going to England for a tour by the looks of it. Oxford United, MK Dons and Birmingham. 3 teams I'd expect us to beat before taking on Al Nassr out in Saudi Arabia. So I'll probably try to look to add a couple more in. Probably against slightly better opposition, because I'm not sure how much certainly Oxford United and MK Dons are actually going to test us. So I'll look to get some better opposition into our friendlies pre-season campaign. So in episode 2 I'll create a tactic, we'll play the friendlies, we'll see how the tactic is working, and maybe if we have time in that episode, kick off the season with the first game. But yeah, these updates are going on at 8:30 every evening. You'll get your new update of I'm So Cadizzy. So thanks for watching episode 1, and like I said, please look out for episode 2 tomorrow. If you'd like to get notifications, please hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on, and you will be notified as soon as that video goes up. Thanks again for watching, thanks for your support, I'm the not so special one. I will see you next time.